Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be taking a first look here at this Week 12 NFL DraftKings main slate, and like I always do in these videos, I'm going to go position by position, talking about the plays that are sticking out to me here early on in the week, and then we'll wrap up this video by putting together a first look cash lineup and a first look tournament lineup. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Now, before we dive into the quarterbacks, I have two quick updates for you guys. For starters, here's my weekly schedule update. I have an NHL DFS video coming out tomorrow, my favorite NFL cash plays video coming out on Friday, and my favorite NFL GPP plays video coming out on Saturday. And the second update here is I am going to be on vacation starting this Sunday through next Sunday, and I will not be making content while I'm out on vacation. Now, I do plan to give updates in my Discord channel, which is completely free to join. If you haven't done that yet, there's a link to do so in the description below on this video, or just leave me a comment on here asking for an invite and I can send it to you there. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here. Taking a first look, we do have some big names right at the top. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Honestly, I don't mind Josh Allen in that spot against Philadelphia. Philadelphia's been a pass funnel defense all year long. They did, however, play well against Mahomes just last night. So I'm looking here at CJ Stroud, and I kind of like this game in general. I think we could probably stack this up from a tournament perspective, going with Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud. Stroud has been great as a rookie this year. We all know this, especially in his last three games. 45, 25, and 21 DraftKings points, going over 300 yards in each of those games. And I do like that spot at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But again, not going to be afraid to run it back on the other side with Trevor Lawrence. Now, in terms of cash games here this week, Kyler Murray was a quarterback that stuck out to me. Back-to-back games here, the rushing upside has been there. You can see 6 and 7 rushing attempts. Really like to see that, especially considering they're using him in the red zone and at the goal line. And I do like that matchup against the LA Rams. Think there's a little shootout potential there. We can maybe stack that one up as well. But in terms of cash game quarterbacks, Kyler was the one that stuck out to me as the best option on this slate here. Again, this is the first look here. Maybe some value opens up later in the week. But looking down here in the lower 6K range, even the 5K range, not a lot going on there, especially from a cash game perspective. Maybe we can try and get cute with our tournament lineups, but really those were the quarterbacks that stuck out to me here initially. Now, the quarterback position there was pretty condensed for this 10-game slate, but things do start to open up here at the running back position, and there's some nice value at the wide receiver position that we'll get into here in just a couple of minutes. But looking at the running backs, we do have some nice names at the top. Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, and Jonathan Taylor. But the first guy that I want to highlight here is Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams, who is expected back here this week in a good matchup on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the question is he going to be eased back into his role or get the same volume that he got prior to getting injured? We know that Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman are probably going to get a little work still going forward, but if it is going to be the volume that he got prior to getting injured, hard to ignore him at this price here is $6,600. Again, especially considering the matchup against the Cardinals, something to keep an eye on as the week progresses. The next guy that I want to highlight here then is Derrick Henry. As we all know, Henry has not been the same running back that we've watched here over the last few years, largely due to the volume in his role in this offense. You got a rookie quarterback there in Will Levis trying to work out some kinks with him. But this is the matchup for him to get right, especially at home here against this Carolina Panthers defense. They have not been able to stop the run all year long. Very similar situation to Tony Pollard last week, right? Hasn't lived up to expectations this year, but finally got right last week, found the end zone. So I think Henry here is purely a tournament play, but at that price of $6,400, he could have himself a big day in that matchup against that Panthers defense. Now, right below Derrick Henry, we got a few nice options here for cash games in Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Rachaad White. Starting with Joe Mixon, volume has not been an issue for this guy, both in the running game and passing game. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow is out for the rest of the year. His role could change a little bit, but if anything, I think more volume does go his way. Isaiah Pacheco is an interesting one here, probably more of a tournament play for me, but I wouldn't blame you if you played him in cash, especially considering this matchup here is a good one against the Raiders playing indoors, but you can see the numbers have been solid all year long. The passing game role can be a little hit or miss. You can see the last 2 weeks only one target, but prior to that, the volume was pretty decent, so like I said, more of a tournament play, but I wouldn't mind going there in cash. And then Rachaad White, definitely a cash game play here. volume in the passing game has not been an issue for this guy, playing really solid here as of late too, and a good matchup on the road here against the Colts. Now, if Dameon Pierce misses again here this week for the Houston Texans, I think we have to go back to Devin Singletary. Volume has been good here in back-to-back weeks. He's running the ball really well, finding the end zone, 23 plus DraftKings points in both of those games. Yes, his price is going up, but still very reasonable there at $6,000. And then two more guys that I want to mention here, first being Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots. Coming off of a bye, he should be relatively healthy in this matchup against the New York Giants, which is a good one. Giants defense has not been good this year, and I do like the volume that we saw with Stevenson here heading into the bye, especially in the pass game. That's really never been an issue for him, but 20 rushing attempts last week. Hopefully he can build on that. He's an interesting tournament play. And then same thing here with Jaylen Warren. He's clearly the better runner between him and Najee Harris, but they are still splitting carries, so I don't necessarily love that. But you can see here that Jaylen Warren has been playing great football as of late. Again, probably more of a tournament play, but if the volume ever happens to be a 70-30 split in Warren's favor, we will be considering him in cash as well. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these wide receivers here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get Slydog Sports here to 4,000 subs by the end of 2023. I got football content coming out for you guys throughout the rest of the year. I got hockey content coming out for you guys as well. So if you haven't subbed today and you can help us get closer to 4,000 subs, again, I would really appreciate that. Now, moving over here to the wide receivers, and there is some nice value sticking out to me at this position during my initial look, but before we get into that, here's some big names right at the top. A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs kind of lead the pack this way, in my opinion, because I don't know what to expect from Jamar Chase here, being that Burrow is out. Probably a wait-and-see type of play for me. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both banged up in the game last week. Both are questionable heading into Sunday. If one of those guys miss, we can probably play the other one. It looks like Cooper Kupp is battling an ankle injury, Nacua battling a shoulder injury. I think Nacua would be good to go over the ankle injury, but we'll wait and see there as well. Mike Evans, we got to talk about this guy. The volume has been good for him. He's someone they look for in the red zone quite frequently. Probably more of a tournament play, but I do like that matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. And then Adam Thielen, I think we can go back to him again when it comes to our cash games. Couple of down weeks there, if you will, with 8 and 10 DraftKings points, but the volume remains there, and I do like that matchup against Tennessee. That secondary has been bad for a couple of years now. I think we also need to talk about Tank Dell as well. This guy's been awesome as a rookie. Volume has been there, double-digit targets now in 3 straight games. We can easily stack him up with CJ Stroud in both cash games and tournaments this week. Scrolling down a little bit here into the 6K range. Don't necessarily love anything there. I would be willing to go back to Christian Kirk here. Again, he had a kind of a down game here with a DraftKings points, but someone who's been consistent all year long and got a price decrease here at $5,700, so I would be willing to take advantage of that. And then scrolling down below him, I'm not in love with anything in the low 5K range, but a couple of plays here in the 4K range that definitely stuck out to me. First being Josh Downs here, the Indianapolis Colts. Coming off of a bye, he should be healthy and ready to roll. You can see that injury kind of hampered him over the last 2 weeks, but prior to that, was really solid in that Colts offense. Remains a good price at $4,800. Scrolling down a little bit from him, Douglas, I think we can go back to him in cash games this week. Volume has been nice the last 3 games. Again, another wide receiver coming off of a bye, and I do like that matchup against the Giants. And then you can see there, Michael Thomas is doubtful this week, so I think we're going to be able to consider Rashid Shaheed here at $4,300. Notoriously more of a tournament player, but with Thomas out, I think we might be able to go there in cash as well. And I know I typically don't dip into the 3K range here during the initial look, but Zay Jones did catch my attention here at $3,900. Was back last week from IR, saw 4 targets in that game, but we know there's more upside there as well. Now, I don't know if he's a cash or a tournament play as I do this initial look, but definitely someone who will be on my radar considering the price. And then we got the tight end position here, and honestly, quite like the options we have at this position this week, and that's not something we're saying very often when it comes to the tight ends. Travis Kelce at the top, he's always in consideration, and then there's a next tier of tight ends in my opinion, with Dalton Schultz, Dalton Kincaid, and Trey McBride. I think every one of those guys are in play here this week, more so on the tournament side of things, just because I like to spend down at this position in my cash lineup, but I really wouldn't blame you if you went to one of these guys in your cash lineup as well. We'll highlight Dalton Kincaid here. I love the way he's been used in this offense over the past 5 games, and I don't think it's going to be long before he has one of those performances where he goes for 20 plus DraftKings points. The rookie has been great. Scrolling down here in the lower 4K range, I do think Evan Ingram is in play in that game between them and the Texans, and then I want to highlight the volume that David Njoku saw last week with Dorian Thompson-Robinson was throwing the ball his way a ton, 15 targets. You can see he's just been super consistent here as of late in general, and I do like that price of $4,100. I know that Broncos defense has been better as of late, but considering the price, Njoku is definitely in my player pool. And then if we're really looking to save some money here, I don't mind Cade Otton at $3,200. Kind of a boom-bust type of play, but if he's going to see 5 targets week in and week out, I will consider him at that price of $3,200. And then if you're really looking to punt, Pat Freiermuth here just came back from injury last week. Only saw 1 target, so we obviously don't love that, but that was a tough matchup on the road against Cleveland. $2,900, that's usually a guy who floats in the low 4K range, so we're getting him at a massive discount right now. Now, when it comes to the defenses here this week, defenses are priced up. If we scroll to the bottom, you can see the cheapest one there is the Texans, and honestly, I don't mind that at home against the Jags, but I'm probably going to be stacking that game up if I had to guess, so I'm going to highlight 2 defenses here in the 3K range. The Denver Broncos playing the Cleveland Browns at home, and then the Kansas City Chiefs, who look like one of the best defenses in the NFL this year, going on the road against a rookie quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. So the Broncos and Chiefs were kind of the 2 that stuck out to me here initially. Alright, so now that we're done with the positional breakdowns here, let's put together a first look cash lineup, starting at the quarterback position here, and I'm just going to lock in Kyler Murray. With the running backs, let's go with 3 here initially, and I'm going to put in Joe Mixon, we're going to put in Rachaad White, and then I'm just going to assume that Dameon Pierce is not playing this week. I'm kind of hoping for that at least, and putting in Devin Singletary. So we got about $5,000 left over per player. Let's go down to some of these value wide receivers here. We're going to put in Josh Downs and Douglas here initially. So that's about $5,100 left over per player. Let's put in a tight end. Let's go with Trey McBride and spend up a little bit here this week. He's been awesome in this offense, looked really good with Kyler Murray as well. And then defense-wise, let's put in the Broncos. So $7,600 left over. That would be Puka Nacua. I'm 100% okay with that in that matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. And if Cooper Kupp does miss this week with that ankle injury, I like Nacua even more. Again, he's questionable himself, so we will need to keep an eye on his injury status throughout the week. Alright, now let's put together a first look tournament lineup here as well, and I've talked about that game between the Texans and Jaguars quite a bit, so let's stack that one up. We're going to go with CJ Stroud here, and let's put him with 2 pass catchers. We're going to go with Tank Dell. Could go Nico Collins. Noah Brown could be back this week, but let's put in Dalton Schultz. And then run it back with Zay Jones as a cheaper option at $3,900. That should free up some money for us. Let's go back to the running backs here. I love this spot for Derrick Henry. If he can't get right this week, probably not going to happen this year. And then let's do a little running back defense stack there with Pacheco and the Chiefs defense. So $5,200 left over per player. Let's put in a boom-bust type of guy, and I don't even know if he's that this week, being that Michael Thomas is going to be out. We're going to put in Rashid Shaheed, $6,100 left over per player. We could go Rachaad White, DeAndre Hopkins if we wanted to, but that doesn't make sense. We already got Derrick Henry. We could put in a Devin Singletary and just hope Houston drops like 35 points, or put in another Jags player there in Calvin Ridley. I'm going to go Rachaad White here for now, but we do have some options, and honestly, I don't mind that for a first look tournament lineup. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great week here, folks, and in the meantime, I'm out of here.